Good afternoon. Thank you for joining the National Black Child Development Institute's virtual Lunch and Learn session on promoting young children's learning through daily routines. Our featured speaker, Georgia S. Thompson, is the president of BCDI-DC Metro and senior program and policy analyst for Nemours Children's Health System, National Office of Policy and Prevention in Washington, D.C. Georgia supports the Advancing Equity in Families and Children project. This project works with states and local communities to reduce inequities that impact health and well-being outcomes for young children ages birth through 5 years old and their families. Georgia is also an adjunct professor at the University of the District of Columbia Community College, where she helps to prepare early childhood educators seeking to earn their associate's degree in education. Prior to joining Nemours' national team, Georgia worked as the Vice President of Programs and Affiliate Network for the National Black Child Development Institute. Georgia has been in the field of early childhood education for over 15 years, beginning as a preschool teacher and advancing to work in K through 12 education, professional development, quality improvement, and project management in early childhood education. Georgia is an experienced trainer and facilitator, having trained and presented at both the state and national levels. She holds a bachelor's degree in family and child sciences with a concentration in child development at Florida State University and holds a master's of science degree in human services from Nova Southeastern University. Georgia is originally from Miami, Florida, and currently resides in Montgomery County, Maryland. Please welcome Ms. Georgia Thompson.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
I am well. Thank you, Danielle, for the introduction, and thank you to NBCDI for inviting me to join National Black Child Development Week for today's Lunch and Learn session. I'm going to, am I okay to share my PowerPoint at this time?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So as Danielle mentioned, I'll be presenting today on promoting young children's learning through daily routines. Again, I'm Georgia Thompson, and I am the president of the BCDI-DC Metro affiliate, in addition to a few other roles that you heard about. So in terms of outcomes, what are we going to talk about today? We will talk about routines. We'll talk about why they're important for young children's learning and development. We'll talk about some ways that parents and caregivers can maximize and leverage opportunities that are already a part of their day to promote their young children's learning at home. And then finally, we'll also review some resources that can enhance learning opportunities at home. So our agenda, as you just heard, we'll quickly talk about we'll talk about routines, and we'll go into some activities that you can make out of your daily routines, and then we'll talk about some resources. Before we begin, I would love to check in with you all. So our parents and caregivers that are checking in with us today, I would love to hear from you how you would describe your homeschooling experience thus far. So what is one word that you would use to describe how you feel about homeschooling during this time? I'm going to use a different way for us to respond to this question. So if you do have your cell phone with you, pull that out and open your text message. So you're just going to act like you're going to send a text message, and to respond to this question, in the to section, you're going to type the numbers 37607. And then the section where you would type the text message, you're going to type my name and then some other letters. You're going to type Thompson EDU C781. So again, if you would like to participate in this poll, just doing a quick check-in to see how everyone's doing with the whole homeschooling experience, you're going to share one word with us, and you're going to do that using this quick poll. So grab your cell phone, in the to section, type 37607, and then in the area where you would type the text message, I would love for you to type in THOMPSONEDUC781. I'm going to switch screens here. Once you're able to, once you type in the code, you'll activate, and then you'll be able to send in your one word to polleverywhere.com. So once you send that in, it's going to give you the opportunity to type in your word. And then you'll just type that one word that you would use to describe your homeschooling experience. So I'm going to do a test so you can see how it will show up on our screen.
Hi, Georgia. We're not able to currently see your screen.
Oh, thank you for letting me know. Danielle or Cheryl, are you still there? Can I share this second screen?
Hi, Georgia. So we still cannot see your screen. Did you click on the share screen icon?
Okay, maybe that's the issue. I do see a couple of responses coming in, so keep those coming in. Okay, can you see those responses so far? So I got a couple of responses on the screen there.
Yes, we can see it now. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. So again, just type in your response. Give me a one-word check-in for how you're feeling right now about homeschooling. How are you feeling during the quarantine and social distancing at home with online and learning experiences with your children? So just type in a one-word response and we can see them display right here on the screen. So I've got overwhelming so far, and one person just said, woo. So I can totally understand that. So we'll just do another 30 seconds for any additional responses if you'd like to share how you're feeling about the homeschooling experience. It's a lot. Frustrating, I see is coming in. Okay, so we'll about 10 more seconds to respond. So we can obviously see a theme so far with kind of the experience and what parents and caregivers are feeling at home with this experience. So you may have multiple children. I see someone responded, links to Palooza. So you're receiving lots of links from either your early childhood program or from your child's school about the experience, about getting them online to engage in the learning experience. So it can be a lot. It can be frustrating and overwhelming, lots of links. Just woo, I like that one. I really like that one. So thank you for responding to that poll. I'm going to switch back over to the PowerPoint and get us started. Okay, and can someone just confirm that you can see my PowerPoint screen now?
Hi, Georgia. So we can see the poll everywhere screen, but not your PowerPoint screen yet.
Okay. Let's fix that. And now?
So I think you may have to click New Share since we can't see your PowerPoint screen yet. So now we just see a screen of you. Okay, yes, we can see it now.
Perfect. All right. Thank you for hanging in with those technical transitions. So let's jump in. What is a routine and why is it important? So many of you probably know what a routine is. It's a repeated series of actions that could be in your day or in your week. It's a pattern, right? So for those of you that may have young children that are in early childhood programs, their routines will consist of personal care routines such as eating meals, resting, getting dressed, toileting, group activities, transitions between those activities, and cleaning up. Those are some of the things that they'll be engaged in terms of routines during the day in an early childhood program. And those are important because routines help children to build trust. When a child knows what comes next, or they know what to expect, which routines help us to do, they are better able to build trust with the significant caregivers in their lives. So think of it as a domino effect. When I have a routine, a part of my day that's repeated every day, I know what's coming next. So a lot of times a child could tell you, depending on what time of the day it is, they can tell you what's supposed to happen next. So when they're able to know and expect what happens next, that gives them trust. I know what's coming next, so I'm building trust with my caregivers. And when they have that trust, then they feel safe to take risks in terms of exploring the environment and learning about the world around them. And that helps them to build a secure attachment to that significant caregiver in their lives. And a secure attachment, again, going on the domino effect, that secure attachment helps to prepare them for healthy relationships later in life. In addition to, it helps, it's the building blocks of brain development and setting them up for greater learning experiences later in life. So routines are really critical for young children. So that's why they're important, and we want to foster as many opportunities to be able to support your learning as possible, and they start with their routines. So how can you build learning opportunities into the routines that you already have at home? So many of us, we switched to learning at home with our young children. So how can you turn those into opportunities where you can learn, meaning that there's not an extra thing for you to do? So maybe you're already connected to your child's preschool or childcare program online and you're doing a few things there, or you have other learning opportunities, but how can you take advantage of the moments that already exist in your day so there's not just one extra thing for you to do as a parent or a caregiver, right? So that means that you have the opportunity to take advantage of teachable moments. So we'll talk more about those. And then if you could take it a little bit further, you can even engage in teaching your child through themes and project-based learning at home as well. So let's discuss those. So we talked about how some of our routines encompass personal care. So things like bath time, meals, etc. So with taking advantage of our daily routines, what we're doing is engaging in a number of different ways to interact with our child. And interactions are really, really important, really critical for children's learning. It's a huge building block of brain development. So you want to ensure that you have opportunities where you're having conversations and interacting throughout the day with your children. So I've seen lots of funny posts online on social media where parents and caregivers are calling their children their coworker, and they're saying, my coworker is writing on the walls, or my coworker is doing this. And so there are, of course, lots of opportunities where your work environment at home, if you're working from home right now, and their learning environment will overlap. So what are ways that you can, take advantage of those moments? And it's through conversation, through interactions. So with the interactions you're having with your child, you want to have kind of like a serve and return process. So if you're a tennis player or you play ping pong, whatever it is, think of serve and return. So there you're serving where you're giving, and there's a return where you're receiving. So when your child says something, you're saying or asking something in return, and vice versa, and it continues. So during bath time, what are some of the ways that you can do that? So you can talk to your young child about, you can identify the different parts of the body, the arm, leg, fingers, toes. You can count fingers and toes while they're having a bath. And you can discuss the steps for taking a bath, because eventually they're going to have to learn to do this process on their own. So right now you're helping them. So what are the steps? A few small, simple steps that they can follow along with and recite with you each time until they learn them on their own. And you can also take it a step further, talking about sinking and floating. So if you're having an actual bath and you have a few toys in the tub, what are some toys that will sink and what are some toys that will float? just that small, those brief little things I just discussed just now, those will teach children a number of different skills, such as language and vocabulary, counting, one-to-one correspondence, knowing that one number goes to one object, sequencing, knowing the order that things come in, self-help skills to be able to develop independence later on and take care of that personal routine on their own, and sensory skills. You know, there's a lot of water or splashing going on. So there are a number of different skills that your child can learn in a part of the day that already exists last time. So let's talk about meals. With meals, you can definitely engage children in preparing simple meals. They can become your sous chef. So they can help you to prepare the ingredients for dinner that you're preparing or lunch. They can help you to measure out the different ingredients that are going into what you're prepping, and they can help to set the table and take care of different jobs that go into getting ready for mealtime. So here they're learning skills like measuring, counting, they're learning cause and effect with cooking. So if you're putting pasta in a pot, where the pasta is long and straight when it goes in, what happens to the pasta as it starts to boil in that really hot water? So just that small exchange or conversation that you can have with your child, they are learning about cause and effect as well. And then cleanup time. With cleanup time, you can discuss simple steps to cleaning up. So depending on whether they're cleaning up their learning or their work area for the day, or they're doing chores, you can teach them skills there as well. So talk about the simple steps that go into that cleanup process. Let's say you may be taking out the trash or cleaning up after dinner. Talk about recycling. What are some ways that you can really leverage those opportunities? I have some recyclable materials here. So as you're talking about opportunities to recycle and reuse materials, these can become materials that you use in your at-home classroom. So this can become a telescope. My recycled cereal box here can become a project where you cover the cereal box maybe with some paper and have the children decorate it. So you can talk about recycling, and in that, again, small, quick conversation, interaction with your child, you can teach them about skills like sorting, because you're putting like things together. So all the plastic bottles together, all the newspapers together, you're identifying colors, shapes. Again, we're talking about sequencing and what order things go in. If you're talking about maybe a 3-step process to cleaning up. And then again, you're learning some self-help skills here as well. So again, in kind of really reinforcing or emphasizing the importance of routines and why they're important for young children's learning, they really prepare them to learn. So there are learning opportunities within daily routines, but engaging in those routines help children to learn some of the more complex concepts later in life. So the simple things that your children do every day help to prepare them and be ready to receive information, to learn and to engage and to interact with their teachers, with their parents, with their caregivers. So there are things that we need to take into account, like getting an adequate amount of rest each night. Young children, if they're up to age 5, should get anywhere from 8-9 hours of sleep a night. Sharing healthy snacks and balanced meals with our children, with our families, and taking physical activity breaks. I say with your child because these are good for us as parents and caregivers as well. We're at home, we might have a little bit of virtual fatigue, we're online, we're on calls all day, and engaged in a number of video chats. And so whenever possible, maybe we can take a physical break from our workday and engage our child in that. So maybe we can stand up and do a few jumping jacks, or we can run in place, pretend we have a hula hoop if we don't have a real one. So we just want to move and stretch and do things that are going to help to really engage children and prepare them for the learning experience. Because that physical activity really, again, helps to jumpstart brain development. So simple things like stretches that you do at home can help to jumpstart brain development, prepare children for learning. Doing simple things like, stretching across. When children reach across their body, they're actually engaging the opposite sides of the brain. And again, it's kind of a jumpstart opportunity to get them prepared and ready to learn. Children should also have about 60 minutes of breathless play each day. Breathless meaning they run out of breath when they do it. So if there are opportunities, if it's safe to, and if the weather permits, opportunities to get outside as well. If you can grab your laptop or and run out and take it outside and have engage your child in a game outside. You can maybe break it up. Maybe it's 4 15 outdoor minute breaks a day or 2 30-minute breaks. Definitely take those breaks to get outside, because the vitamin D from the sun is good for both you and your child, in addition to the opportunity to be out and engage with nature, have a different learning environment, kind of break up that, monotony and the same of being inside. So where possible, we want to work those into the schedule as well. And then during this time, we are all online. It might be a cell phone, it might be a laptop. We're all online because of social distancing, because of stay-at-home orders. We have to be on the computer for learning opportunities with your children's school or early learning program, or we have to talk to our colleagues and coworkers and meet with them. And so you can get a bit of virtual fatigue. So take those breaks for yourself, but also think about the importance of taking them for your child as well. Because there are, implications for spending a lot of time on screens. We want to ensure that the time that the children spend is they're engaged in a learning opportunity, and then maybe you work in a few opportunities where they can have some fun with being online as well. But definitely monitor and limit screen time. Everything's good in moderation. So just, you know what's best for your child. So just ensure that you're monitoring and limiting screen time where necessary, because we don't want it to, at a very young age, up to 5 years old, we can see an impact to their attention span if they're spending too much time online, if they're exclusively online for their for those learning opportunities. So we can take it a step further in terms of using those daily routines for learning opportunities, right? So again, we're not trying to do, anything extra. You don't have to sit in lesson plan like the teachers do, but really take advantage of the moments that already exist in your day. But we can still take it a little bit further to make the opportunities more engaging. We know our children, they have a short attention span. They'll be zipping in and out at a moment's notice. And so what are some ways that we can really help them make connections with what they're learning? So it's not a bunch of random things that we're talking about, but maybe we can give a theme to it, or we can turn it into a project. So for instance, it's spring right now, believe it or not. It has been a little bit chilly here in the DMV a couple of days, but I think today's one of the nicer days. So springtime could be a theme. So for lunch, let's say you make a springtime salad, and you're gathering ingredients such as this nice spring mix, with some lettuce in there. You've got your strawberries, maybe a nice, I like raspberry balsamic vinaigrette. And so you're gathering these different ingredients to make a nice spring salad, and you talk to your child about the ingredients and when is maybe a peak season for particular fruits and vegetables to grow. Peak season, it might be a new term for your young child, so you're teaching them some new vocabulary there. So there are definitely opportunities to, again, take advantage of those moments, but you can still put a theme on it. So you can make a springtime salad during a mealtime. At bedtime, you can read a book that has a theme that connects with springtime as well. And then if you're getting out for the day, taking a walk in the neighborhood, maybe you look around and help your child to identify some signs of springtime that they can see in the neighborhood. So maybe they see that the trees, now they have blossoms on them, or we see more birds flying around. They're chirping and singing songs. Maybe you can sing a song while you're on your walk with your child. So definitely opportunities to kind of give a theme there, because in an early learning program, a lot of learning occurs according to themes, because it helps children to make connections between the different concepts, and it helps to build on information that they already know, which is key in helping to advance their learning. So definitely take advantage of those moments where you can kind of plan on the fly in your mind to teach according to a theme as well. And if time permits, you got your routine set and in place, because they're actually going to help to make it a little bit easier, believe it or not. Because again, when children know what to expect, they're going to help you along the way. They'll know when it's time for bed. Maybe they start getting sleepy because they've gotten into the routine. Their circadian rhythm has them falling asleep at 8 o'clock every night. And so they're in a stage where they want to be very helpful. And so they'll know when it's time for meals, and they'll ask you, can I help you get the dishes out, or can I help you prepare the rice or the chicken for today's meal? And so these opportunities really help us as parents and caregivers too, because the children know what to expect, and they're going to be the ones pushing to do these things because they know what comes next, or what's supposed to happen at this particular time. So once you get those routines established and in place, you want to, if you can, ensure that you have a variety of different learning opportunities, right? Young children learn in a number of developmental domains. So think of those like buckets of learning. They're interdependent because they actually depend on one another, and a lot of times they overlap. So children learn, in developmental domains such as language and literacy, physical development, social emotional development, cognitive development, and depending on who you're asking, there's a creative bucket or there may be a sensory bucket. So with language and literacy, we're talking all about those early skills. They're going to help them to develop like the pre-skills to reading. So anything that's talking, reading, singing, reciting poems, communicating, having conversations, that goes with language and literacy. With physical development, that's all about health and physical activity. So learning things like washing their hands, especially at a time like this, and why it's important, or getting out for exercise, moving, why those things are important, eating healthy, those are in the physical development domain. The social emotional development is all about your child and them developing their sense of self and learning about themselves as an individual, and then how they then relate to and connect to other children as well as other caregivers and adults. So what are some of the things and ways that we can do that? Is having conversations with other people, sharing learning opportunities with other family members, maybe having a virtual play date, and connecting with others will help to promote skills in social emotional development. And then cognitive development, that is where our concepts such as math and science go. So at a young age, science is all about inquiry and learning new ways to do things, learning about what happens when I do this or when I change this, when I switch this. So conducting lots of little experiments in their minds. So those go within the cognitive development domain. And within creative, those are opportunities to engage in music and movement experiences, in addition to art, which is a big part of early learning, is engaging your young children in ways to express their creativity through a number of different media, markers, crayons, finger paint, just a number of different art opportunities. And sensory, so anything that promotes learning through the 5 senses, such as in an early learning program, they have things like a water table or a sand table. So bath time, a typical routine, can turn into a sensory experience, and that would fit into that developmental domain. So I shared all of this to say that a lot of what you already do at home fits into these buckets, these developmental domains that your young children are learning in every day. And so simple interactions that you can really leverage and promote and capitalize on are going to help to continue their path to learning. So know that what you're already doing, you're doing a great job. Just do more of it. Continue that, and again, engage in those opportunities for serve and return, where they're asking you a question and you answer, and then you ask them a question. And one of my favorite questions to ask a young child is, "Why do you think that?" So if they're looking at something and they say, "Mom, I see that the ladybug is crawling across the leaf," and you can ask them, "Oh, I wonder where he's going," and your child will respond, and you say, "Well, why do you think that?" That's one of those really, really good questions that really helps with concept development and helps them with critical thinking skills. And so again, just simple interactions, simple conversations can help to really leverage these daily routines at home. So again, we're at home, right? What else is new? We're at home, right? And we can't leave home in some places. Some of your states may be getting ready for, different phases of releasing their stay-at-home orders, but some may not be. And so what are some ways that you could leave the house without really leaving the house that could take the learning experience beyond, the walls of your home? So there are ways that we can, again, engage children in the current events with COVID-19, and maybe we can talk to them about the pandemic. There are different materials from places like Harvard University's Center for the Developing Child that can help you with ways to talk to your child about the pandemic. And maybe you talk to them about the essential workers, the people that are really important to helping us to get through this safely right now, that have to report to work. So maybe you can talk to them about that and have them write letters or thank you notes to the essential workers. So they can draw pictures for the essential workers, and you can do a dictation. You can write their words at the bottom, and you can maybe turn into an experience where you make a book out of a few of their drawings and share it with, maybe a local hospital or maybe a family member that's an essential worker. So those are opportunities where you can, so to speak, leave the home kind of, sort of, because you might mail that and send it to someone that's helping us out through this time. Also, remember to include your entire family in these experiences. This is something that's going to really help to, again, promote social emotional development, connecting to others. So with social emotional development, we're learning things about ourselves. We're able to name different emotions. So modeling that for your child and talking about how it's a scary time right now, or how you might feel frustrated, helping to name those emotions for yourself models that for your child and gives them the opportunity to learn those words and connect that with feelings that they may have. And that helps them develop those emotional skills. And then socially, giving them opportunities to connect with others, like other family members, through maybe conversations that you may have during meal times or other times during the day, will help to build those social skills in the way that they interact with others. So I know you'll probably have conversations about, you need to share with your brother or your sister right now, or doing something nice for grandma or something like that. So connecting to others and really giving them opportunities to really develop those social emotional skills that they're missing out on right now because they're not around 12 or 15 of their peers of other 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds or 5-year-olds in their early learning program. But what are some ways that you can talk and do that at home? You also, we talked about themes, right? So maybe you take a little step further and you're talking about maybe community helpers and people that help in the community. Maybe you can do video chats with some of those experts in those community areas. So maybe you have someone in your family that's a mail carrier that's still working right now, or someone that's a firefighter, a police officer. And so maybe you can do a video chat with them and they can be in uniform and explain to your child all about their experience and what they do on a daily basis, what's a part of their routine for work. And that presents a learning opportunity for your child where you can ask questions and engage with someone that's, again, outside of the home. So it's our way of going beyond the 4 walls without leaving home. And then you as a parent or caregiver, you need to connect with others outside of the home as well, because this is a tough time and we all need support, we all need help. And so maybe if you're connected to some of the parents that are either in your neighborhood or maybe some of the other parents that are or caregivers in your child's early learning program, and you can connect with them and maybe get together for a quick Zoom call with coffee and just talk about maybe what you're learning with your child. And it may not be a concept of science and math, but it may be, hey, I learned that my child really needs to work on sharing a little bit more at this stage, or I'm really frustrated by this. So what are some ways that you've tried this? So maybe hopping on calls with, even friends or family members that have children the same age can really be helpful during this time. Another way to travel beyond the home without leaving the home is to take some virtual field trips. So you might want to visit websites of different programs or museums, national parks that have maybe live cams that can show you what's actually going on. Some of the zoos do that as well, where you can actually see the animals live. So you can take online field trips. You can even travel out of the country and go global by visiting websites of other countries, looking at pictures or videos on YouTube that can show you different places. And again, you don't have to structure a learning opportunity with your child. You don't have to, head out to Walmart and grab a bunch of stuff or get online on Amazon and order things. But that simple conversation, again, that interaction is really, really what's key to their learning opportunity. So now with the next few minutes, I just want to go over some resources that you might find helpful during this time, some places that you can check out online, that you can access from your phone or from your laptop. And if possible, you can even download certain activities or resources that can help with learning at home during this time. And some of those resources are the National Black Child Development Institute and your local affiliate, Kids Health, Vrooom, Talking is Teaching, and Catch. So let's just spend just a couple of minutes talking about each of these. So of course, you've been engaging with NBCDI all week, and you've seen amazing things that the organization does. And if you don't already know, NBCDI offers a number of culturally relevant and culturally responsive, trauma-informed, evidence-based tools and resources to improve and advance the quality of life for Black children and families. And so definitely check out their website and check out their resources. And BCDI has also compiled COVID-19 resources and share those through their affiliate network. So if you're in a city where there's an affiliate of NBCDI, ensure to get connected with them, become a member and engage with them. And maybe there are ways that they can provide that can be supportive during this time as well. One of my favorite NBCDI resources is their Good For Me recipe book. So we talked about maximizing those opportunities throughout the day, such as mealtime, right? So NBCDI's Good For Me recipe book can be a way for you all to check out some of the really cool recipes that they have, one for each letter of the alphabet with a new fruit or vegetable that you can talk to your child about. And they give you some of those kind of scripts and things to talk about with your child while you're preparing healthy meals and snacks. So that's one of my favorite resources from NBCDI. Also, my organization, Nemours Children's Health System, we have a website called kidshealth.org. Kids Health offers a number of different resources for parents, caregivers, children. The parents site in particular provides different resources and advice on children's health, their behavior, and their growth and development, and it goes from birth up to the teen years. So you can check out a number of different things from mental health resources, different developmental milestones, etc. There are a number of things there that parents and caregivers can take advantage of, even some activities as well. Nemours also has another website, which is readingbrightstart.org, that you can use if you have children up to ages 5. And it's all about promoting early learning and early reading skills. So you can access screening. So if your child is between the ages of 3 and 5, there are screeners there that you can use to kind of see where your child's strengths are as they're starting to learn how to read. You can take a look at milestones there, in addition to accessing a number of different activities that you can use with your children at home. Another great resource is Vrooom, and their website is joinvrooom.org. And Vrooom is all about promoting brain development. And the theme of our Lunch and Learn session today has been leveraging those daily routines as learning opportunities. Well, Vrooom helps you to do that because they have tips and they have resources, they have games and activities that really help you to have those conversations and enhance those interactions with your young children during those different routines. So you can go on and print out their different tip cards for different points of routines during your day that you can really leverage the opportunities to build their brains. Talkingisteaching.org is another resource very similar to Vrooom, where you can get tips, tools, and resources to use with your young children. This is a website hosted by Too Small to Fail, and their theme is talk, read, sing. These are 3 very simple but 3 very important ways to help build and develop your child's brain by talking with them, reading to them, and singing with them. You can do this, and so there are a number of tips, tools, and resources here that parents can use and access as well. And then finally, we don't want to neglect the physical aspect, right? Physical activity. We've talked a lot about tips and things that we can do in all of the different developmental domains, those buckets of learning. But we don't want to forget the importance of physical development, because it is one of those routines and parts of our day that helps and prepares us to learn. So Catch is an organization that normally offers activities and resources around physical activity and healthy eating. But during COVID-19, they've created this kind of special section to their website, Catch at Home, and it has a number of different things there where you can actually join a Google Classroom and access some learning opportunities, resources in order to promote physical activity and movement at home. So you can definitely check that one out as well. So as I wrap up, I just want to say to you all, you know, tag you're it, right? That's what the teachers are telling us. I have a lot of teacher friends, and their social media posts are like, yeah, parents, it's your turn now. And, you know, we joke and make light of it, but it's not a small feat to educate and engage your children at home, no matter the age. And we focus on young children today, but no matter the age, it is quite an undertaking to take on homeschooling while you have other things that are going on, right? So the world doesn't stop so that you can homeschool. You're juggling a number of different things. And so I just want to take this time out to acknowledge all our parents and caregivers out there and everything that you do and everything that you've done thus far to really help your families to adapt and to adjust to the current times. So I just say, you know, I say tag you're it, and the T stands for, T is for take a deep breath into the nose, out through the mouth, and take a deep breath. And just, you know, when you have those moments to yourself during the day, it may be a few seconds, but you can't imagine the world of good that small thing can do for your day. And just kind of stopping and taking a deep breath and taking it all in and understanding that we're in different times right now and that we're all experiencing it. You know, we're experiencing things we've never had to before, and we're really having to kind of, you know, adapt as we go because everything is evolving and constantly changing. So take a deep breath. And then the A in tag is for applaud. Applaud yourself because you're doing a great job and you will continue to do a great job. Pat yourself on the back because, again, what you're doing is not easy. And we certainly recognize that and want to just, again, acknowledge you for all that you do. And I know Mother's Day recently passed, and hope all the moms enjoy their day. And then the G in tag is forgive. Give yourself some grace. You know, we can only do our best. One of my favorite books is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I actually have it right here. And one of his 4 agreements is to do your best. And you're like, yeah, easier said than done. But doing your best looks different from moment to moment, day to day, week to week, depending on the current situation. And right now we're in the midst of a pandemic. So all you can do at the end of the day is do your best when it comes to homeschooling. And so at the end of the day, if you've done that, then you are successful. So give yourself some grace. Be kind to yourself. Again, we talked about social emotional development. It's important for kids, but it's important for you too. So be kind to yourself. Share words of love and affirmation with your children. Comfort them during this very difficult time. Because, you know, it's tough for all of us, and that social support, that connectedness of our families, it's what's our families, friends, and loved ones is what's going to help us to get through this. So tag, you're it. And with that, that concludes my presentation for the Lunch and Learn. I'm definitely open to taking some questions if there are any.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Georgia, for all of those practical tips to ensure that we are teaching our children through those daily routines. We really appreciate it. So your PowerPoint presentation was so well received that we have multiple people asking, both Elsa and Isis, where can I get this PowerPoint presentation? Don't worry, everyone. We will provide it to you in our daily recap link following all of our sessions today, so that you'll be able to look at Georgia's incredible presentation time and time again. Additionally, we have a YouTube link that's also sent out with all of our sessions, so you can also watch it again if needed as well. We did receive a comment from Debbie Hillman in Atlanta who said, thank you so much for shouting out. Good for Me, yes, she is here. And Good for Me is one of our national programs that promotes health and wellness, specifically for children 3 to 5 years old, by promoting healthy eating as well as physical activity. So thank you so much for shouting out one of our programs. So folks, if you want to provide Georgia with a question, just hover over your screen. There is a Q&A icon. It looks like 2 talking bubbles, and then type in your question there, and we'd absolutely love to answer it. So as people are, typing in their questions, I had a few questions for you. So as you said before, Georgia, this is truly an unprecedented time for all of us. What can families really do to kind of press that reset button where they may have, like fallen out of their daily routines? How can they get back into those daily routines, both as parents and caregivers, but also, for their children as well?
start. And a lot of times, we look for like a new starting point, like, okay, it's a new month. We can, jump back into the routine now. It's a new month. It's May or it's June, but just start, again, we're trying to do our best during these times. And so if today is not the day, if you might be eating something different for breakfast that's not, normally a breakfast food, or you might be watching a little bit more TV. It's okay, because these are tough times and we're coping in different ways. And so tomorrow is always a good time to start. So jump in tomorrow. And I would recommend, I saw that BCDI had different things and tips in her presentation that, in terms of organizing and getting a schedule, those are things that can definitely be helpful. Doing things like color coding, making one schedule maybe for the entire family on one document, and kind of color coding by person. And then you may assign different jobs to your children outside of the normal chores or things like that can help the family get through their routine. So a number of different ways and creative ways that we can think of right now. But parents and caregivers, you're the experts on your families, and you know what's best. So you can certainly try a new strategy, a new technique, and see if it works. And if it does, keep going. If not, we can try a different one.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we have a question that's come in from an anonymous participant who asked, as a part-time caregiver, how can I utilize the time I have with my children the best? So essentially, how can this person maximize their time with their children when they have them?
By taking advantage of those routines and seeing where their days intersect. So if you're part-time working while you're taking care of your child, what are some times and days that you can share, the meal times? Maybe there's a time where you have to read a document for work or something like that, and your child can come in and they can, pretend to read their book, and then you can, stop for a moment and talk about, hey, this is, mommy has to read this for work, and I'm working on this. What were you reading about over there? What's that book? What did you see in the pictures that you were looking at? And what do you think about that? Can you teach me something that you've been learning all day? I'm tired. I'm taking a break right now, because I definitely recommend taking lots of breaks during this time. It's really going to help us to get through this, to take mental breaks and to take those moments to stop, share a kind word or affirmation with our child, with our families, while working, while having to get through the learning opportunities. So I hope that was helpful.
Thank you so much. So we have a couple of questions coming in. One from Yolanda, and she asked, should I talk to the students about the pandemic or encourage the parents to do it? I guess she's an educator, so she's trying to figure out, is it the parents' responsibility to talk with them about COVID-19, or is it the educator's responsibility during this time?
I always look at education like a trifecta. You've got parents, you've got the schools, and you've got the child, and all three have to come together for the child's success. The child has a role, the parents have a role, and our teachers in schools have a role. And so I would say it's a conversation at first with the parents to connect with other teachers, because there may be something that your school is sharing, school-wide with parents. So check and see if your school has something or a particular protocol that they're instituting that they want to do. But if not, then I would definitely connect with the parents and see and have a discussion. I don't know if teachers at this time, if they are having sessions where they're talking to just parents, if they're having those kind of maybe like, parent-teacher meetings. I don't know if those conversations are a part of that, but if you have that opportunity to connect with the parents and say, we know this pandemic is going on, what are some ways that we can partner to really teach our children about what's going on, and how we can best take care of ourselves and continue learning during this time. So I think it's a shared conversation between the two.
Thank you. And then we have another question from V, who asked, does it matter what time I start our routine? They typically don't start too early. They usually start at around 10 a.m. or so, because they said they didn't want to make the day too long for their child. Is there an ideal time to start these various routines that we're, discussing during the session?
Well, I noticed that a lot of parents are wanting to kind of continue the routine. If their child was in an early learning program, or if they were going to school, they want to continue the routine. So their child is waking up at the same time. If they have to get online, they're getting online at the same time. So that continuity really does help the children to kind of stick to the routine that they were already in. If that's not the case and they weren't in the program or anything like that, then you can certainly work with what works best for your child. Just having that consistency and sticking to that is really what's going to be the most helpful piece of that, is ensuring that it's consistent.
Wonderful. I could not agree more. I remember when I was a preschool teacher, sometimes, of course, would rain, but and it was really funny because, while my children couldn't tell time yet in the classroom, they did know that there was a rhythm to the day. And so I remember we were going to the multi-purpose room as opposed to going outside because it was raining. And they were like, "Miss D, we're not going outside." And I was like, no, not today because it's raining. And so
Right. They
you're right.
notice, yep,
Exactly.
they
They know.
notice the
Two,
changes to their routine. Yeah.
exactly. 2, 3, 4 years old. They do know. Well, we still have quite a bit of time for Q&A. So participants, if you have any additional questions for Georgia, please feel free to leave them in our Q&A box by clicking on the Q&A icon, which you can see as you hover over the bottom of your screen. She would love to answer them for you. So I know that you talked about during your presentation as well as the Q&A segment that, like you said, we are experiencing a lot of fatigue, a lot of screen time fatigue. We're on laptops and tablets and cell phones now more than ever before. And previously, before COVID-19, as you were mentioning too, sometimes we would maybe watch television or a movie to decompress. But, that's just like screen time overload at this point. So what are some alternative activities that parents and caregivers and children can do together as a family during the evenings that may have been, previously spent maybe watching television or a movie together? What are some other things they can do instead?
Reading. One of my favorite pastimes is reading. And I know that, again, that's easier said than done. But if you make it a part of your routine and your young children, they come to expect it, they'll start to ask for maybe a nightly story or whatever time during the day it happens. But definitely reading and taking it a step further. So as you read a different book, maybe you focus on a book for a week. A lot of times, that's what's happened in ECE programs because young children learn by repetition. So we may read the same book for a week, but we read it in different ways. So maybe we read the book one day and another day we're acting out the book and we're acting out the different parts and the characters. This is where you can pull in your other kids and other members of the family to act out what happened in the book. Or instead of watching our favorite movie on TV, instead of connecting to Disney Plus, how can we act out, the Cinderella movie and pretend that at home? What props do we need? What materials do we need to collect around the house to get our movie set ready and to really, create this production? So really taking it a step further. So you can kind of leverage those opportunities. So if you're watching TV one day, which is okay, again, we're all coping, but maybe turn it into an opportunity where you can really engage the children and engage their creativity, which can be something like a production, extending a story, writing their own stories. Children can even publish books during this time. We're talking about different ways for us to remain productive as adults. But maybe children, they can publish their own books and you can help them to do that. And you can Google, go online and see what the steps are. But, it starts with, illustrating the pictures and writing the words. And you can do that with your child at home with some paper and some simple materials. So there are a number of different ways you can plant things, you can garden if you have that capability. And again, that reinforces, our conversation about healthy eating and physical activity. So a number of different activities that you can do. You can make your own exercise video or something like that. So just engage them in ways where we allow ourselves, because we needed to, and them as well, to disconnect and kind of do things kind of a little outside the box. Take it back to the 90s or 80s or whatever.
I love that. I love that you emphasize not only reading, but also writing. That's a really great point. Because that's also a way that children sometimes fall in love with reading is through writing, creating different stories and the like. So that's a great idea. Wonderful. So I know they did a fabulous job during this afternoon's presentation. And I know that you mentioned that one of your favorite questions is, why is that? For parents and caregivers who may feel a little overwhelmed at this time in terms of, keeping everything together, what are some other maybe probing questions that they can ask their children to promote those, that learning throughout the day through these daily routines?
So it depends on what you're doing or what you're engaged in at the moment. You want to ask some of those questions that really are going to promote, critical thinking skills that are a little bit deeper and go beyond, like, what is this, or what does this do? Or it might be a what does this do? And so while we're We may have a number of different resources that we're using from our ECE programs or from online. We may give them open-ended materials that they can do a number of different things. So for instance, if they have some Legos at home, of course, one of the natural questions is, what are you building? And then you might ask them, what are the steps? Okay, so what are some of the materials that we need to build this castle that you're making? Do you have to have it on both sides, or is this one part of the castle? Why do we need this particular part to the building? Why do we need an opening on the back of the castle? What's that for? So really asking them some of the deep questions that are going to help them to think more so beyond, what is that? Because those are kind of like closed-ended questions, but asking the questions where their response could be anything. So just think of that as a guiding tool, that you're not looking for a specific answer from them. It's not black or white. It's not a specific answer that you're looking for, but really getting them to kind of think and, again, dive into their own creativity. So think of questions where they can completely make up the answer, and that's okay. And then you can explore that. You want to then turn their answers to your previous questions maybe into another question. And again, that helps you with that whole serve and return process of conversation. And even if you can't think of questions, you can engage in things like self-talk and parallel talk, because this helps with vocabulary in addition to early reading skills. So as you're doing something, self-talk is you're describing what you're doing. So if you're preparing the meal, say, okay, now I'm going to take a cup of flour, I'm going to pour it in the bowl, I'm going to crack a couple of eggs and mix that in, add half a cup of sugar. So that self-talk, me describing exactly, kind of narrating what I'm doing, that gives an opportunity for the child to hear a number of different words and vocabulary words that they may have not heard before, and that may lead to some of their own questions that you can then answer. And then parallel talk, where you describe what you see them doing. Oh, honey, I see that you're drawing a picture here. Oh, I saw you made a big circle here for the head. I saw you added a couple of lines here for the arms. Oh, you're drawing a shirt on the body. So also engaging in that self-talk and parallel talk. So if you don't have the questions at the moment, then you can just simply describe what you or the child is doing, because that helps with language and literacy as well.
I love all of those points about serve and return, and also not just asking questions as the parent and caregiver, but also encouraging the child to ask questions as well through this, narration of sorts of what you're doing, from day to day, because children are watching. I know that Bisa mentioned that on Monday too, it's important to practice what we preach as parents and caregivers. So that's another opportunity for those, just invaluable learning moments throughout the day as well. So thank you so much, Georgia. It was an absolute pleasure having you. You provided so many nuggets of wisdom, and we've just received so many different comments in our chat box, just thanking you for all of the practical tips and tools that you provided. We really appreciate having you.
Absolutely, and thank you to NBCDI for inviting me, and thank you all, everyone. The content this week has been wonderful. So, in the midst of a crisis, there's still a lot to celebrate with the brilliance of our children and families. So thank you all for the opportunity.
Our pleasure. And thank you, participants, for joining the National Black Child Development Institute's virtual Lunch and Learn session on promoting young children's learning through daily routines with Georgia S. Thompson. Our next session, Let's Activate Your Force with Hype Coach KJ Rose, with Grammy Award-winning artist development and performance expert Kiana KJ Henson, will start at 4 p.m. sharp Eastern Standard Time today as part of our daily homeschooling happy half hour session as part of National Black Child Development Week 2020. You will not want to miss this interactive and dynamic session. Until then, I hope you take care and stay well.